Hello and welcome to TryHackMe's Advent of Cyber 3, Day 7. I am Tiberius. I will be helping walk through the tasks on this day, which is called Migration Without Security, and it's all about NoSQL and NoSQL Injection. So let's start off with what is NoSQL. A NoSQL database is a non-relational database, and it's actually short for non-SQL or not only SQL. And all that means is the primary query language for the database isn't SQL. Some NoSQL databases do support SQL as a query language, but not as the primary way. So it's a data storing and data retrieving system, and they're commonly used for big data and Internet of Things devices due to their powerful features, such as fast queries, ease of use for developers, they scale easily, and they have a flexible data structure. So we're going to cover some basic concepts of NoSQL databases, information gathering, enumeration, and exploiting some vulnerabilities. So there's a few different types of NoSQL database, MongoDB, Couchbase, RavenDB, etc. In this task, we're going to be focusing on MongoDB, which is a free and very popular one. So similar to relational databases like MySQL and MSSQL, MongoDB does consist of databases, tables, and fields, but they have different names. So collections are kind of similar to tables, documents are similar to rows, and fields are similar to columns. If you've ever dealt with relational databases, you'll understand those three things. So there's a graph here of how it all works, but effectively the data is stored in documents, and the document format is BSON. It supports JSON, it's very similar to JSON, and it actually supports JSON as a query language. There are a few different ways to query, so a few differences in the ways that you query between MongoDB and MySQL or regular SQL, really. So the AND is actually a $, AND, OR is a $, OR, and the equals sign is replaced by $EQ. So let's start by interacting with the MongoDB server. I've started the machine, it's running on the right here. And so all we have to do is type Mongo, and it will connect directly to the Mongo database. Okay, so we're in, we have a prompt here. Let's use the show command to list all the databases. So if we just type show databases, click and press enter, we have 4 databases: admin, config, flag, DB, and local. Okay, so if we want to connect to a database, we can do this by using the use command. However, the use command actually can be used to create a new database, and that's what we're going to do here. So if a database doesn't exist, you can just type use, so Advent of Cyber 3, and you see it switched to the database Advent of Cyber 3 AOC3, even though it didn't exist, it just created it. So what we're going to do, we're going to do some of this task. We're not going to do it completely to the letter in this walkthrough, but I definitely encourage you to follow along in this task here. All I'm going to do is create some collections, put some documents in, and then query it and show you how to actually query those for those documents. And that'll be useful later when doing some of the actual questions. So we're going to create a collection users exactly like we're doing over here. So we'll do db.createCollection. And we'll say users. And this is effectively creating a users table. Not called a table, it's a collection, but it's very similar in the concept. And we can actually list the collections now in this database. If we do db.getCollectionNames, we just got the users one. That's great. So now let's insert a couple of users into our database. You'll note we haven't actually defined any columns or fields, and that's because we can just do them on the fly in an insert statement here. So we'll do db.users, users being the name of the table or the collection, .insert, and then if we do open parentheses, and this is where the JSON format comes in. So we're going to create a new JSON object with a curly brace. We're going to say, okay, give an ID of 1, a username, let's say admin, and a password of, let's just do password. And then we'll end the JSON object, and we'll end with a closing parentheses. Press enter, and we get a right result. Number inserted 1, that's perfect. We press the up arrow now. We can just modify this slightly. So let's change the password to password1 and change the username to Tiberius and change the ID to 2. Press enter again, and we get number inserted 1. Perfect. So how do we extract information from this database? Well, we've inserted 2 documents into this collection, users. And so if we just type db.users.find and do an open parentheses, close parentheses, that's going to return both the documents in that collection. Okay, so there's the admin document and there's the Tiberius document. But we can modify the query, because find, if we just do find and pass it nothing, it's going to return all the documents in the collection. If we want to actually query, we can pass another JSON object with our query in. So let's say we only want documents where the username matches admin. Okay, so we're just going to submit that JSON object. If we press enter, we see only 1 document's returned now, and it is the one where the username matched admin. But remember, there's a few operators here that we can use. Let's use the EQ, the equals one, and see another way we can return the exact same data. So instead of saying we want the username to be admin like that, we can pass another sort of key-based array where we say EQ and admin. So effectively what we're saying here is we want the username field to be equal to admin. So the exact same thing we did here, really just a different way of typing it. If we press enter, you'll see we get the exact same document back, the admin one. But now what happens if we change this EQ to NE for not equals? All right, so now we're asking the MongoDB to return all documents in this collection where the username is not equal to admin. As we see, we press enter, and yeah, indeed, we get the document with the username Tiberius. Okay, so hopefully you followed along. Like I said, there's a few other things you can do, like modifying, like basically updating the documents, removing documents, and you can go and do that. I haven't covered that in this, but just follow along in the instructions here if you want. But now we can actually answer the first question. So the first question was, interact with the MongoDB server to find the flag. What is the flag? Well, let's just clear this. Oh, I can't clear it. Okay, let's do show databases again. And we see we have now 5 databases, obviously the one we created: admin, config, flagdb, and local. So let's use flagdb. I'm guessing that's where the flag's going to be. And now if we do db.get collection names, we can see there's one collection in this database called flagcol. So if we want to just list all the documents in flagcol, we'll do db.flagcol.find, press enter, and indeed, yep, we get one document where there is a flag field, and it's called the TryHackMe flag. So if we actually copy that across, we can see it is the right answer right there. Okay, perfect. So that's the end of this machine. The next questions are about bypassing login pages and effectively doing some NoSQL injection. So what I'm going to do is switch across to the attack box, which I've already started over here. And what I've done is I've opened up Firefox. I've got Burp Suite open. I've turned the intercept off, which I definitely recommend. And I have Firefox proxying through Burp. So if you go to up here, click Foxy Proxy, and click Burp right there, then you'll be proxying through Burp Suite. And you'll see it's already sent a few things. Firefox does that automatically. So let's copy this URL. And what we'll do is we'll use the copy paste clipboard here. So we'll paste that URL in there, and that means we should now be able to paste it within the attack box. So I'll paste it there, press enter, and we get a login page. If we go back to Burp Suite, we can see, yeah, we got a login right there. Okay, so the first thing we'll do, it says, can you log into the application that Grinch Enterprise controls as admin and retrieve the flag? Okay, so first things first, let's just try a login. Let's try admin and password. And we'll click login, and we get bad credentials, which is expected. If we go into Burp Suite though and click on this post request, which should be down here, post to /login, we'll see this is the request that our web browser sent. The username equals admin and the password equals password, right? And the response just came back, bad creds. Okay, so I've got a Sublime text editor open up, and let's just think about what could be happening at the back end. We've sent this, right? Username equals admin and password equals password to the web server, and what the web server, I'm guessing the PHP backend maybe is doing is it's taking the value of the username parameter and it's placing it directly into this query here, and it's taking the value of the password parameter and it's placing it directly into this query here. And because these are just regular effectively body parameters in an HTTP request, they are strings by default, and so there'll be strings in the JSON. And it's going to use db.users.find1 instead of find. The only difference between find1 and find is find1 will only return one row, one document if it exists. It won't return all of them. And obviously in a login, you only log in as one user, so that makes sense. So in this case, it's going to ask effectively the user's collection to find one document where the username equals admin and the password equals password. However, if you were to modify the parameters that we sent, you can actually change the type of the parameters in some programming languages. Very commonly, PHP will do this. So if you pass, instead of sending password as the parameter, you do password open square bracket $NE for not equals, close square bracket equals password. If you do anything really with the square brackets there, it's going to convert this password parameter into an actual array or a named array in PHP. And so what will happen, because it's passing the value of this parameter, instead of passing a string, it's actually going to pass effectively a named array, where you have the not equals as the key and the password as the value. And so this now changes the entire query, because instead of finding one document where the username equals admin and the password equals password, now we're asking the users collection, to find one document where the username equals admin, but the password doesn't equal password. And because we already tried to log in as admin where the password was password and it didn't work, we know that their password doesn't equal password. So what we're going to do, let's actually try this. We'll go to the proxy intercept and click intercept is off to turn it on, and we'll go back and we'll type password again, click the search button. Now it's going to basically hang because we've intercepted the request. And so now what we'll do in this window with the request intercepted, we're just going to add a square bracket $NE for not equals, close square bracket. And we'll click the forward, and then we can just click this intercept and turn it off. Let's go back to Firefox, and lo and behold, we are logged in as the admin user. So that's how we bypass it. There's an image here, by the way, if you missed that, so you can see how we did that. Looks like there's a flag, so we click the flag, and there it is there. That matches right this one I got earlier. So that's how we can bypass the login using NoSQL injection. Once you're logged in, use the gift search page to list all usernames that have guest roles. Okay, let's go back to the dashboard. Looks like there is a search page here, which takes a username. Okay, well, we know one username. Let's do admin. Username not found. Okay, let's see what the request was. So if I scroll down here, looks like this was the request. It made a get request to /search, username equals admin, and role equals user. Okay, so we want to list all usernames that have guest roles, but it looks like it requires this username parameter as well. So we can't just change this role to guest, but we can do really the same thing that we did before. Because we know that there's no username called admin, then we know there can't be any documents where the username is admin. So if we issue this request again, let's go back to intercept, turn the intercept on, go back, type admin again, click the search button, go back to burp, and we'll change role to guest because that's what we want. But now let's pass square bracket $ not equals, close square bracket equals admin. So we're now searching for documents where the role is guest, but the username is not equal to admin. So let's click forward on that, turn the intercept off for now, go back to Firefox, and we get 3 usernames, 3 user details. Guest, guest, test, guest, and there is the flag. So you can copy that and put it in over here, and that is indeed the correct flag. Use the gift search page to perform NoSQL injection and retrieve the MongoDB record. Okay, so let's do this. Actually, we won't copy and paste it, we'll just type it in. MongoDB search. Okay, username not found. Let's go back to Burp Suite. Again, it's the same kind of request, except this time we have this username here. So what we want to do, we don't know McSkiddy's role. However, we know that it can't be user, because if it was user, we would have found it, presumably. Okay, so let's do an intercept again and type McSkiddy. Do search and go back to Burp Suite. Okay, so the username is McSkiddy, that's what we want. But this time we want to return the documents where the role is not equal to user. So we'll just put that in, forward, and there we go. We get McSkiddy admin. Actually, if we copy this entire thing and paste it in there, that is the answer. So now there are actually a few things we could have done before, and maybe it's worth experimenting with those, because we have some of these operations that we can use. So let's go back to the gift search page to list all usernames that have guest roles. Okay, so the way we did that, we just typed admin and searched. And where is it? Right there. Okay, so instead of now, let's try and do it without using the not equals. Okay, let's think of another way we could do that. Let's turn the intercept on and go back, type admin again, do the search. Okay, so remember the first time we did this, we changed the role to guest, and then we just put a not equals in there. Is there another way we could do this? Let's have a look at some of the options that we have. So we've got equals, we can't really do that because we don't know the usernames. Non-equals we've used, greater than doesn't really make sense. Exists though, so matches records that have a certain field. Well, all these rows are going to have presumably a username field. So if we do exists and we set this to true, what we're doing now is saying, okay, get all the documents in this collection where there is a username field, basically where the username field exists equals true, and the role is guest. Let's forward that and turn the intercept off, and that worked exactly the same way as before. Let's do one more way using regex. So what we'll do again, intercept the request, go back to Firefox, type admin in again, do the search, back in burp. We'll switch the role to guest again, but now this time let's use a regex query. So we'll type open square bracket, $regex, close square bracket. So regular expressions might be confusing, and you should definitely learn them. For now, all you need to know is if you type a dot or period with an asterisk, that's pretty much the regular expression for match everything. And so what we're going to ask the database now is, are there any documents where the username matches anything and the role is guessed? Okay, so we'll forward that, turn the intercept off, and just like before, we got all 3 guest usernames. So I hope that was helpful. I think we finished all the questions. I hope you enjoy the rest of the Advent of Cyber 3. I will see you again for day 11. But for now, thank you very much for watching.